The doors of the upscale hotel swung open, and I was greeted by the luxurious light of an opulent chandelier. In the entrance, elegantly dressed people gathered, with women in glittering dresses engaging in graceful conversations. The moment I laid eyes on this scene, I felt a small pang in my chest. I was supposed to be the main person of this party. Yet, I could feel no warmth of celebration for my presence anywhere in this place. It was my 30th birthday. My family had invited me, saying, "Since it's a special occasion, let's celebrate it grandly." And I had decided to meet them after a long time. We had been estranged for a while, but I thought it might not be so bad to be celebrated by my blood-related family. However, I was naive. As I stood in front of the reception, the staff member looked me up and down. "Are you on the guest list?" he asked, with an expression as if he were looking at someone out of place. I confidently stated my name. However, he looked puzzled. "Please wait a moment, miss," he said. While I waited, puzzled myself, my mother Maggie and my sister Christina eventually appeared. They were dressed up and wore the smiles of upper-class ladies, but their expressions slightly clouded over when they saw me. "Oh, Isabella, you're here," they said. "It's been a while," they said, but there was a subtle coolness in their voices. "But there's no seat for you, Isabella," they continued. "What? What do you mean?" I was in disbelief. My mother continued without breaking her smile. "The party reservation was made quite some time ago, and it's too late to add a seat now. Why don't you have a meal at a pub nearby? Isn't that a good idea?" I was taken aback. A pub? Was this a joke? I was supposed to be the main person of this party. True, I had kept some distance from my family, but I was still supposed to be invited by them. Seeing my expression, Christina shrugged. "Well, you work at a pub, right? It might be more comfortable for you there," she said, her tone clearly contemptuous. I tried to say something, but no words came out. They just saw me as the sister who works at a pub. "Don't take it the wrong way, Isabella. It's just that there's a place that suits you," my mother said with a kind voice, but the thorn in her words pierced my heart. It was as if they were saying I didn't belong there. My vision blurred slightly. Frustration, sadness, and anger all mixed together and choked up in my throat. Yet, I just smiled. "I got it. Sorry to have bothered you," I said. I turned on my heel. They looked almost relieved. Without looking back, I left the hotel. The cold night air caressed my cheeks. The bright lights of the party venue faded into the distance. As I walked, I thought back on my life. From childhood, I had been the daughter who couldn't make the grade, in my mother's eyes. My sister was academically excellent, sociable, and the pride of the family. I loved baking, but that was considered just a hobby. Yet, my father was different. He always said my cakes were delicious and ate them with joy. He smiled proudly every time I got better at baking. However, he passed away from an illness when I was 12. Before I could recover from the loss of my father, my mother remarried. My stepfather showed little interest in me, favoring my sister instead. To him, my sister was a daughter to boast about because of her academic and social successes. I became like air within the house, unacknowledged no matter what I did. Still, I wanted their recognition and kept striving tirelessly. But no matter how much I tried, I never appeared successful in their eyes. Nevertheless, I continued on my own path. After graduating from a vocational school, I left home, stopped communicating with my family, and began my apprenticeship at a 3-star restaurant in France. I had always been passionate about baking and studied pastry, but I felt the need to learn authentic techniques in France. It was lonely and challenging at first, not understanding the language and being in a foreign land, but I honed my skills and continued to challenge myself. Through trial and error, I gradually gained confidence and eventually decided to open my own shop. Opening the shop was not easy, and I faced many challenges. There were times of financial hardship and periods when sales did not grow as expected. However, I never gave up. My passion for baking and the experience I gained through trial and error supported me, and gradually more customers came, and my reputation grew. Now, gourmets from around the world seek my cakes. Seeing this, I feel that my efforts have been rewarded, and these moments bring me the greatest joy. No matter how tough the road, I have learned the importance of believing in myself and continuing to walk my path. Yet, my family still sees me as just a pub worker. My sister Christina is married to Nicholas, an investment banker. Nicholas is an elite in the finance industry, dealing with asset management and mergers and acquisitions, and not only does he have a high income, but he is also well known in social circles. Due to his job, my sister Christina is often invited to glamorous parties and upscale restaurants, leading a wealthy life. Of course, her lifestyle is not due to her own efforts, but all thanks to Nicholas. My parents also enjoy a luxurious life with the help of Nicholas's support. They live in an affluent neighborhood and enjoy days free of inconvenience with travels and shopping. I suddenly laughed to myself. That's enough. People don't change that easily. At that moment, I decided to never contact my family again. I don't need their recognition to be myself. There are others who value me. I looked up at the night sky and took a deep breath. The cold air seemed to calm the anger deep in my chest. My life wouldn't change one bit without my family. With that thought, I slowly walked towards my home. Suddenly, my smartphone vibrated. It was a message from Jonathan, my manager. "Isabella, it's an emergency. Come to the shop immediately." Jonathan's voice was unusually urgent. I was startled and involuntarily stopped. "Jonathan, what happened? Explain to me." "I'll explain later. Just hurry, Isabella." His tone suggested something serious. I immediately turned around and ran to the shop. When I arrived, the shop was dark and eerily quiet. "Jonathan, are you there?" I called out nervously. At that moment, "Happy birthday, Isabella." Suddenly, the shop lit up brightly, and the smiling faces of the staff spread before me. Surprised, I stood still with my eyes wide open. On the counter, there was a special birthday cake made just for me. The staff popped crackers and surrounded me with smiles. "Happy birthday, Isabella. Congratulations on turning 30. This is our way of saying thank you for all you do, Isabella." The warm words from everyone filled my heart. Even if my family didn't recognize me, there were people who truly valued me. Holding back tears, I slowly smiled. "Thank you, everyone. Really, thank you." I was touched by the warm celebration from the staff and suddenly wondered, "But how did you know I was coming back?" When I asked, Jonathan smiled sheepishly. "Actually, we sent a surprise birthday cake to the hotel for you, but when the staff told us you had left, we decided to celebrate here instead." "Oh, I see." I was surprised but felt a warm glow in my heart. I was overwhelmed with gratitude to have colleagues who cared so much for me. "Jonathan, everyone. Really, thank you." Jonathan smiled broadly and said, "Now, let's eat the cake." Everyone cheered. At that moment, I truly felt that my real family was right here. I am known as a talented patissier who owns a famous patisserie called Patisserie Éclat, with 3 stores. My shop is loved by many for its innovative sweets and refined ambience, and its reputation is so widespread that reservations are often booked 3 months in advance. Harvard professors and upper-class individuals are regulars, and gourmets regard it as a must-visit establishment. My name has become well known through various media and food enthusiasts. Yet even with such success, I had never once shared this with my family. I kept my distance from them, rarely exchanging words. I had no interest in sharing my success or deepening my relationship with them. From a young age, they had dismissed my dream of becoming a patissier as an unstable job. When I decided to attend a culinary school after middle school, my mother and sister did not understand my decision. They valued stable professions, social status, and financial power and questioned the path I chose. They always demanded practical choices without understanding my passion for baking or my pursuit of my dream. I felt confused and lonely in my heart due to the difference in values with my family. Therefore, I distanced myself from them, and even after achieving success through my efforts, I did not confide in them. For me, Patisserie Éclat was not just a shop but a place to prove myself. Even if my family didn't recognize me, I could captivate people with my skill and passion. That pride kept me moving forward. 2 months after my birthday, an international patissier competition was held. Our Patisserie Éclat team won the competition. Top patissiers from around the world gathered to compete under strict judging for their skills and creativity. I led the team and poured all my efforts into it. When the results were announced, a rush of joy and relief overwhelmed me, and tears flowed. The news of our victory spread both inside and outside the industry, attracting even more attention to our shop. Amidst this, one day, a famous gourmet TV program contacted us for an interview. Although I had avoided public appearances, I saw this as a good opportunity to let the world know about the hard work of my staff, so I decided to accept the interview. Little did I know that the broadcast would have an unexpected impact on my family. Time passed since the day of the interview, and finally the day of the broadcast arrived. I gathered with my staff in front of the TV in the shop, nervously awaiting the moment. The screen showed me, somewhat bewildered by the unfamiliar interview, discussing the shop's dedication, and my staff earnestly engaged in their cooking. Cheers erupted every time our shop was mentioned, and we shared smiles among ourselves. The host on the screen introduced Patisserie Éclat as a renowned shop loved by gourmets around the world, and I watched the broadcast with a sense of pride. As soon as the broadcast ended, my smartphone rang. It was from my mother, Maggie. I pressed the answer button with a bit of surprise, and immediately my mother's excited voice came through. "Hello, Isabella. What is all this about?" Her voice was full of surprise and confusion. "What do you mean? I just saw it on a TV show. What's this about your shop, Patisserie Éclat? Aren't you working at a pub?" I took a deep breath and replied calmly, "Mom, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not working at a pub. I'm the owner of Patisserie Éclat." "What? So that shop they said was booked out for 3 months. That's yours?" "Yes, Mom. I've always wanted to master baking pastries, and now it has become a famous shop visited by gourmets worldwide." There was a gasp from the other side of the phone. "But Isabella, why didn't you say anything?" I chuckled bitterly. "You and Christina always dismissed my desire to become a patissier. You said baking was just playing, and that it wasn't a stable job." My mother was silent. That's why I stopped explaining. I thought I had to prove it by myself. There was a small sigh from my mother. "I see. But Isabella, your shop is very popular, right?" "Well, yes." "Then shouldn't you promote it more?" "What?" "This is perfect. Let's throw a party to celebrate your success. I'll invite lots of people I know. It's a chance to spread your shop's name even more." "Wait a moment, Mom," I said, as I frowned. When my mother talks about people she knows, it always involves Christina or relatives and others who are just there to maintain her own social standing. It didn't seem like she was truly thinking of my best interest. Frustrated by her words, I exhaled deeply and hung up the phone without another word. Whatever her scheme was, it had nothing to do with me. However, weeks later, I found myself reluctantly at the event my mother had planned. Isabella's success celebration party was held on a grand scale. The guests were mostly acquaintances from my mother's social circle, business associates of Christina and her husband Nicholas, and others who seemed to want to capitalize on my success. I wasn't keen on it. It felt like I had been dragged there. "Isabella, it's a party for you, so try to enjoy it." My mother said that with a smile, but her eyes lacked genuine affection, and I could see the cold calculations as if she was appraising merchandise. I sighed and decided to play the role assigned to me. I had to perform the duties of the main character and behave in a way that did not disrupt the atmosphere of the event. As I was pondering this, a blond man in a suit looked at me with interest. He approached me, seeming a bit perplexed, and spoke. "Hello, I'm Nicholas, Christina's husband. I paused for a moment. My sister's husband? Nice to meet you, I'm Isabella. I exchanged a handshake while hiding my surprise, and Nicholas showed a complex expression. Actually, I only learned about you recently. I saw the feature on Patisserie Éclair on a TV show, and asked Christina if you were her sister, and she finally admitted it. I see. I responded with a dry smile. I thought she was an only child since you weren't at our wedding, but I was surprised when I saw the TV show, to have such a successful sister. So my sister had been hiding my existence. My sister wanted to pretend I didn't exist. To her, having a sister who aspired to be a patissier was probably an embarrassment. I didn't hear it that way. Nicholas furrowed his brow, looking troubled. Nevertheless, your desserts are incredible. They're all so delicate and beautiful, almost like works of art. Thank you. But honestly, I didn't want to come to this party. I figured as much. Nicholas chuckled softly. Still, the fact that you came means you haven't completely given up on your family, right? I was at a loss for words. Indeed, if I had intended to cut ties completely, I wouldn't have shown up at the party at all. Let's see how this goes, I said, smiling ambiguously as I gently gripped the dessert knife in my hand. Within my family, I had always been a surplus presence. But now, things are different. I had made it this far on my own strength, and no matter how Christina treated me, I'm now living with pride. After being freed from the stifling party, I was finally able to return home. Reflecting on the uncomfortable time at the glamorous venue, I sighed. Indeed, the distance between me and my family was not easily bridged. A few days later, I received a call from Christina. Isabella, I want to celebrate a friend's birthday at your shop. You'll prepare a special seat for us, right? I was surprised by her sudden request. My sister Christina, who had always denied my existence, was trying to treat me as a sibling. But it was clear that this was not a genuine approach. Christina, I'm sorry, but we're fully booked that day. I politely declined. However, Christina did not give up. What? But we're family, right? Can't you make an exception? Please? It's for a very important friend. My shop's policy is to treat all customers equally, I explained. Her tone became slightly colder. I see. Then, I'll ask for another day. Although she backed down that time, Christina repeatedly asked for special seating and VIP treatment afterward. Isabella, can't you reserve the entire cafe space for us? I'm bringing a group of investors' wives who know my husband. Could you prepare a special dessert set just for that day? Each time, I continued to refuse. I had no intention of giving special treatment just because we were family. Moreover, I felt a strong discomfort with Christina using my shop to conveniently improve her social standing. I had continued to pursue my dream and had built up this restaurant as a result. I could not sacrifice my principles or the way I conducted my business to meet my family's expectations. One day, after closing the restaurant, Nicholas was waiting outside. I need to talk to you, Isabella, he said, his expression serious. Isabella, let me ask you something. What do you think about Christina? What about her? You know she's trying to use your shop, right? What? I was surprised. Nicholas had suspected it. Christina told me she was supporting you because you're family, but actually, she just wants to use you for her own image. I nodded quietly. It's always been like that, denying my dreams while treating me like family only when it suited her. If I hadn't been successful, there wouldn't have been such a party. Nicholas sighed. I didn't know that side of Christina until I married her. But meeting you, I've come to understand her true nature. Nicholas. Isabella, I can't take it anymore. I now understand why you weren't acknowledged as family. She always judges people based on what value they have for her. His words made the feelings that had been sinking in my heart quietly surface. Nicholas. Are you thinking about divorce? To be honest, I've already decided. Nicholas looked at me slowly. If I hadn't met you, I might have never realized this. But seeing your success, I've come to realize that life isn't about being controlled by someone else, you know. As I listened to his words, I felt a slight sense of salvation. It was several months later when I heard that Nicholas and Christina's divorce had been finalized. I wasn't particularly surprised when I heard the news. From what Nicholas had said that day, I had known that this was inevitable. However, what surprised me more was the subsequent change in my family. Once the divorce was finalized, Christina could no longer maintain the elegant lifestyle she had built up. Dependent on his income and social status, the divorce marked the beginning of her downfall. Moreover, my parents were also pushed into a financially difficult situation. Although they had lived a wealthy life, it was only sustainable with Nicholas's support. When the support ceased following the divorce, their savings quickly diminished. One day, I received a call from my mother after a long time. "Isabella, please, I need to talk to you." I hesitated, but decided to meet her in person. At the cafe where we met, my mother and sister looked like completely different people from before. They, who had worn luxury brands, were now in simple clothes and looked utterly exhausted. "It's been a while, Mom, Christina," I said, and both my mother and sister averted their eyes in apparent shame. "Isabella, I'm truly sorry about everything." My mother started quietly. "When you said you wanted to be a patissier, we looked down on you. But now, I finally understand just how much effort you've put in," Christina continued. "I also regret denying your dreams. It's too late to ask for forgiveness now, isn't it?" I stared at them intently. I'm not generous enough to forgive people immediately just because I received an apology. Both my mother and sister Christina slumped their shoulders. However, I continued, "But, I always wanted you to understand. A person's worth isn't determined by their financial wealth." My mother and sister listened silently. "When I pursued being a patissier, you dismissed it as unstable or a trivial job. But I think anyone who takes pride in their work is respectable, regardless of the job. On the other hand, those who rely solely on others without trying to live on their own might be truly impoverished. Don't you think?" My mother nodded quietly, and Christina bit her lip. Later, I heard that Christina had started working as a waitress at a diner. Initially confused, she began to understand the meaning of living on her own through her busy daily work. My mother also decided to work as a cleaner along with my stepfather. By doing the work they had previously left to servants, they seemed to finally understand the value of labor. Seeing them like this lightened my heart a little. I hadn't completely forgiven them, but if my family was acknowledging their mistakes and trying to move forward, I wanted to watch over them. The bonds of family can be broken in a moment, but repairing them takes time. Still, we would slowly build a new relationship. A few months later, I visited the diner. Seeing my sister Christina working confidently, I was surprised. She was like a different person, working with pride. That sight made me feel something. And one weekend, at a diner where the family gathered, I softly said, "Next time, let's have dinner at my place. I'll bake a cake. What do you think?" The moment I uttered those words, I felt a warm atmosphere flow through us. Although it was gradual, we were slowly reclaiming our family bond.